Going on, guys? What's up? How do you do? This is Rod with Ono GTO here for day two of my Bankroll challenge. Pretty good result on the first day. I think we started 1,042, ended the session after an hour at 1,100. So it's kind of hanging right now. Eventually, I'm going to get some sort of Bankroll tracker, something just to help you guys easily see the results. But right now, I'm not really going to get bogged down on numbers. I'm just here to kind of play poker, be a little loose for a little bit, you know. There's no reason not to. So, without much further ado, let's get started. Abandon I guess the dark room aesthetic from last time. This is just a basic laptop camera, so didn't really pick up that well. So, if you guys haven't already, like if you could just check out my TikTok. Um, I think I've got like four videos or so on there right now. So, yeah, I don't really ever plan on making that like the main focus of the channel or anything like that. But I don't know. I think eventually I will have some cool and distinct videos, like separate from the poker content, or as a way to, I don't know, maybe like repurpose and reimagine poker. So check it out. All right. So we're gonna try to find some tables here. Just make sure we got the right setup. Right, this feels pretty good. There's not a great way to set immediately. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me stand up. Let me stand up for this side. Yeah. I mean, I'm to the right. I don't know if it's better. I think it's probably better to be left of the bad player at the table. 'Cause, I mean, if you're gonna be out of position for against most of the table, you want to be out of position against the bad players. Right, this is pretty good. All right, gonna have to change tables on a couple of these. Uh, one good guy so far. Let's change this table. No reason not to. Okay. Right. I only got only seen two folks, and right now it seems like it's gonna be like this table's gonna trace pretty well. And only one good person so far. This may or may not have been the first table that was set. So my theory is that sets like this, like a 75-27, it sounds like it's easy. And in theory, like it really is. But I think one thing that happens is that when a fish like this gets like such a gigantic stack, no matter who you are, let's see what we got here. 215, it's probably okay. No matter who you are, like when you get a stack that is that large, I mean we're 862 big blinds, it's like $80. I think people kind of go into a little bit of a shell. Um, I know this seems crazy to want to fold, but this guy's a pretty serious player. Yeah, I think a lot of times are beat there. And I'm talking. But I don't know when someone has that massive of a stack. Okay, maybe we did have this. I don't know. But yeah, I think they kind of go into like a little shell, and even though like you are like a 75-27, I feel like they play really passively, and they almost become like the 75-27 almost becomes like a you know um, like 2015. Probably not that dramatic, but just you kind of get the point. Like, and they just become a little more difficult to play with. Uh, early position, we can. It's an early position, right? So we can go and let that one go. Again, that's just a theory. I don't really think that. I don't think you need to make any massive overcorrections on my account. And like that one thing that I've seen, like I don't know, probably only a few times to be honest. Well, I sat down just because it seemed like I was running out of table options, and I want to go ahead and just get a seat in case this table was good. I think we can seriously do better though. I don't know. Let's see. Yes, it's got close to 100. Well, I'm just gonna. I'm gonna find. I think I can find a better table, and that's what we're gonna do, even at the risk of losing that king jack. So that's beautiful. Oh, well, this table looks worse, and I remember this guy, Apog. I'm gonna wait just a little bit so it doesn't just seat me back at the same table. So let go. You're gonna play that. Hmm. What's been going on with you guys? What's been going on in the world? Hmm. I know that President Trump was supposed to deliver some sort of address tonight. Um, I never really bothered to see like what that was about. So if you guys know what that is about, please, um, please talk about it amongst yourselves. I don't really care. Just like, um, I don't know. It's probably worth it to call, for sure. But let's change it. Yeah, because that yellow guy's still there. Um, let's see. I kind of want to have all my table set up before I do for making these sort of close decisions. All right. Yeah, fold that. So what did we talk about last time? I think we talked about how much violence is pervasive throughout our, society. Um, and I want to say to get like, I mean, not even close to judging. Um, I love a good Churgon dog with the best of them. Um, but you have to admit, like I said, at a minimum, interesting and probably says something about where we are. And like, also going back to Donald Trump, I feel like he is, the clearest analogy or presidential, let's call it metaphor, for that, you know, um, for that mindset of aggression and, um, aggression and ultraviolence. Just kind of, I don't know. overtaking the Western world. Western world. Western world. Got it. Sorry, I'm a little tired. But yeah, because one thing about Donald Trump before he was president, um, he was known to, like the whole thing, like was it the show, whatever the name was, The Apprentice? He was just like, "You're fired," like just that whole, I don't know, um, just that whole personality of like, I'm the man, I'm in charge, and I can, destroy you if I want to. And it's not that there's never like a place for that ever, for sure. Um, I think men in general um, have natural sort of proclivities, let's call it, towards some level of violence, um, and it's just you know the call it the best of us that have the ability to harness that aggression into something positive, whether that's defending your kids or protecting your wife or uh, this is kind of a loose call like this early, but I kind of want to say flop. Ace five is plenty good. But yeah, I don't know, Donald Trump sort of represents like the other side of that, though. Like um, not harnessing that aggression and just unleashing it full force as much as possible. We're going to fold at that then. We did not accomplish our goals. Flop. Um, just like any thought that comes to your mind, like you're just going to unleash that into the world without like processing it and fleshing out that idea a little bit. Like I don't know, in some ways, like Donald Trump is almost like I mean, literally a byproduct of you know, where's this for here? Of damn it, we're just not going to see a flop, are we? Okay, I think I'll check it once. It's pot a little small. If he does have an ace, we're going to hear about it. It's a bad card because it does not improve our hand at all. It's almost like we're playing the board. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let this go. Yeah, 27, 27. Yeah, I mean, if he only plays that passively, he is somewhat aggressive with 27 PFR. Yeah, we're gonna fold. But I don't know. He's like a byproduct of the 200, 200 to I don't know, 250-ish years like before him. Here. I think I believe in theory. I believe in theory that is that not supposed to do that sometimes? I could be making that up like completely. There. We're gonna go super high with this guy. And I don't even think 7x is like super crazy. I don't know though. I mean, you start as many wars as it's not like absolutely loving that flop, but I mean, we've got the ace blocker. Yeah, we're shipping it. Um, no one has a flop flush. Oh, perfect. Cool. I don't know why I said I didn't love that flush. That is actually great. That's pretty great. Because if no one has a club, I don't know. I think it's the type of flop that just if people are going to call, they're going to play straight up, and you're not going to get like three cold callers, and then like it's like the two big stacks are like still playing, still playing out the hand, and like seeing the turn and river. Is that like the most like thrilling feeling when like you say like whether you know you either bluff and got caught, or two, the probably the better scenario is that you actually have a pretty good bait hand. But there's like two bigger stacks like on the table that still have a lot of chips left, and so it's almost guaranteed to see a turn and a river while you're just sitting there waiting to see if you're going to win this hand to see what they have. But yeah, I don't know. Um, you know, like if there was like a formula to get like a President Trump, it would be it'd be like founding a nation um, based off a war. Like the War of Independence. Not saying that wasn't positive or anything like that, but founding a nation. Um, I don't really like it before, but I think like I thought that's probably not unreasonable. But still, probably keep some kings in. Better. Well, honestly, not too bad because I got two pair. Okay, well that's yeah, it's not great at all. Let's just make it six. Um, I kind of want to raise because if he has like a naked, like a deuce of spades, four or five of spades, he's probably not feeling great about it. Let's just call. All right, cool. Um, let's see. I'm probably gonna have one here. I'm not really gonna want to do this too often, but this is seems like the only way I'm really gonna win this hand. Let's filter. Oh, Hmm. Don't really feel like I can truthfully represent a straight here. If he checks, I bet he. I don't really like that he tanked and checked, but if he doesn't have a spade or a diamond, he's probably gonna fold. I think. Yeah, cool. Um, yeah. So it's like it goes like the word independence, and I'm sure there were some wars in between then. If you're a history buff, um, you know, let me hear about it in the comments. But it's like that, the War of 1812. Um, and then Planet Fours is close to raise. I'm just gonna fold. Um, oh god. But for the most part, there's a lot of reasonable, I guess let's call it wars, But for the most part, after the War of Independence, most every other war has been about the retention or acquisition of like resources. I'm thinking mainly like just like from the modern era of like, around the time that I was born, like the Gulf War and like the wars in Iraq. That's it. I think it's pure shit, right? Yeah, it's gotta be. Um, not full here. Um, yeah. So it's like the war, the Gulf War, um, like Operation Iraqi Freedom, which is a very ironic name. um, and it was mainly about the acquisition of oil and all the other resources in that area, and also two, um, putting like it's called like a chokehold on that region in the Middle East, with the idea that at some point the resources out there will become more valuable than they were, at that time. Um, and yeah, um, and I'm not really someone that believes that there was ever really like a time that there was some ultimate virtuous way to start a war. But I just feel like there's good and probably better ways to go to war. And so when you have, again, a society that, more or less bases most of its value off of the ability to go to war and having a stockpile of nuclear weapons that is rivaled only by, really one country. Um, I don't know. Like you eventually just start to get a guy like, Donald Trump. Um, I don't know. I'm really big on like philosophy, and I'm probably more than expressing my um, inexperience with, I guess, the call it like the geopolitical nature of. I'm trying to think of this is three bet sometimes. Mm, oh, actually, I'm just full. Probably could have called. Okay, yeah. Well, then, no, let's say that would have happened. Um, but I don't know. I just feel like that. Like, if there's a formula, like it'd be something like constant, endless wars. Most of the time, frivolous wars equals a guy like Donald Trump. Like he's literally just a personality. You know, like even if you like Donald Trump, not really to say that like I like him or don't like him, necessarily. But even if you like a guy like Donald Trump, what is like one thing you could ascribe to him that has nothing to do with how he interacts with people? Like how he carries himself. And that's not to say that that's not important. You need to be able to carry yourself. I will say that that is one thing that he successfully does like very well. He has a very deep understanding of like pressure points in interactions. Um, and he, will do everything. He'll fight as hard as he can to come off as like the strong man in as many situations as he possibly can, even sometimes to the detriment of coming off as a strong man. Because that is one thing about people that I think it's going to be a check most of the time here. What are you saying you have? A pair of eights. Yeah, it was probably okay to call. Trying to hit a jack or king, but yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Just like to take away like the political aspect of it. Think about like just how you interact with people just in the everyday world. Like if you knew a guy that wanted to come out ahead in every single interaction he has or had, um, without like considering other people's points of view and without understanding maybe the full picture of what they're talking about and like what he's talking about and whether or not it makes sense or not. Like, how do you view that guy? The guy that has to literally dominate every single conversation he's in. Like, you're just gonna want to stop talking to that guy. You're gonna want to. He's just, he comes off as weak eventually. Like that's an attitude like that is good for one or two, sort of interactions. Like when you meet somebody and like, and you're seeing him have a conversation with somebody, and he comes off very aggressive and abrupt. You're just like, oh wow, okay. Um, there's no fold. His stack is so short. Um, but you come out, you're like, oh wow, okay, like maybe this, I don't know, like you kind of write it off like a little bit. You don't really think much of it. Um, but at the same time, though, like if you just constantly just whether it's through like demeaning people or just trying to shut them down, like what's the text this? Um, I don't know. It just is a recipe for somebody that you don't want to hang out with, and that goes to like that can shove it here. Okay, yeah, yeah. Let's just shove it. We probably call with any ace, hopefully. Um, no, sevens is actually pretty good. I'm trying to hang out with a guy. So, like, whether that's like in your everyday life or, whether it's the president of the United States. Uh, I feel like I'm doing this a lot, just kind of set mining with nines, but I don't know. I'm trying somewhat to keep like a semi low-ish variance style. That is a bad turn. I think that definitely hits his range more than it does mine for sure. Let's see here. Yeah, there. Hmm. Try to see how long we've been going here. All right, we may end up stopping this in just a little bit, and then we'll go over to part two. I think this is going to be another hour-long two-parter for day two. I'm thinking probably Friday. We're going to get a decently long session. Um, you know, to be here lately, I've been doing like these really, really long sessions. Um, I haven't, posted like the full length of those. Um, but since I've restarted the challenge, there's not really a reason to, kind of post those anymore. But I'll be honest with you, after the 3 hour mark, um, I didn't chart my bankroll, um, like specifically after those to see the difference, but I'm pretty sure that there's a pretty steep decline in my EV after that time period. I mean, part of that is because I'm doing nearly all of these streams at night, and so I think by that point I am just wiped and just not playing well. So, so unless I'm really feeling it, I think on Friday I'm probably not going to go. It's not going to be a crazy long session. Is what I'm trying to get at. Definitely not going to pull off like some old school like Jungle Man like 48-hour long session. Did you guys see that Jungle Man heads up challenge against that guy Monarch? I think that's his name. I remember like at one point they've been going for probably hours, and I think Monarch made some sort of comment about him being like tired. And then Juggleman just shut that shit down. He was just like, well, like I've gone like 2 or 3 days straight playing, so I think you can stick it out for a little bit. Um, loosey goosey with like a bunch of players after, but we saw flop and we didn't hit it. So yeah, yeah. I don't know if you guys did see it, but I completely recommend you checking out that stream. It was pretty awesome. I think Jungle Man lost like 1 or 2 buy-ins, but the way it was structured is that it was kind of like a more or less a double or nothing, like each time, whether or not somebody lost. And then Jungle Man eventually came out on top. Yeah, I think it was like some stupid number, like 5 or 10 million. Yeah, I don't believe that raised at all. Okay, well, okay, I kind of believe it now since he answered the call. Um, okay. I don't know. When someone just donks into you like that, yeah, when someone just donks into you like that, um, and you have range advantage, I feel like it's, I don't know, I feel like it's not really like super, super strong, if I'm being honest. Um, okay. I'm gonna overbet this. Someone has a jack. Um, call one. No. Okay. That should have been a raise. Oh, let's see. Yeah. Should have been a raise, I think, on the turn. Raise 10. Really should have checked raised here, but I'm everything on a lot of hands. What's a great turn card, I think. Right. Uh, this thing's gonna need a bit. So I'm to have some easy. I kind of let him have like an easy read or shove if he's gonna do it. That is a weird. See, I feel like he's saying he has ace jack here a little bit sometimes, right? Um, don't really have one in the chat. All right, let's just. Hopefully, he just has a jack. Yeah, he has ace jack. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Let's check the top two. Both of them are having a king or queen, so we kind of want them to catch up a little bit. All right. Gonna call here and then size up on the turn. So we keep that when else his stack was so short, we go a little bit smaller. It's Great card. I think he's gonna feel better about his king. He gets the king or his queen. All right. Got some of that money back. After this hand, I think we're gonna shut it down. And go to part two. Oh goodness. Right, I'm gonna overbet this. Actually, no, yeah, I don't want anybody just coming in there with like a club. I want them to have a Jets plus right now. Right. All right, guys, we're gonna stop this, and I will see you on the other side. Peace.